Hey, welcome once again to Questions for Your Quarantine. This is episode number 3. I do not have my friend Zach with me, so things are a little bit different. We've been encouraged to do as much as we can from home, so he's not here with me this time, so it's going to be just me. We're also going to format things a little bit differently. I just want to answer one question for you, kind of devotion style, instead of answering lots of questions for you. The one question we want to get to today is this question of, hey, what can I do to get along better with my parents and my siblings when I'm forced to spend so much time with them? I don't know if things at your house are like things at my house, but maybe all this quality time together has really made you ready for some time maybe away from your parents and siblings. And since we can't really get out and do a whole lot, that makes things a little bit stressful sometimes. I know, especially watching my 4 little boys, I can watch them when they're forced to play together, especially if it's rainy outside and they have to be inside all the time, or if they have to work on a project together or play games together. A lot of times that's great and wonderful, but a lot of times also, as perfect as they are, that human nature inside of them where they want to make everything about themselves causes some arguing and some stress. Romans chapter 12 verse 10 tells us to love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. Now the first part of that verse about loving one another with brotherly affection may not seem so practical when you really observe brothers. The 4 boys at my house, they can get into some arguments and some fights really easily, but I also know that they do love one another. And when they love one another, what that really is when they're showing honor to one another, and when they're treating each other the way that they should be. That's why that second part of the verse is there. You and I also can see this displayed in Matthew chapter 20, where the disciples are kind of arguing and they're trying to figure out who is the greatest among them. And Jesus kind of comes in this conversation and he says, hey, look, it's not about who the greatest is or about getting honor for yourself. It's really about giving honor to others and serving others. And he reminds them in verse 28 that Jesus Christ himself, he came to serve others and to give his life for others. What I want to encourage you to do during this time when we have a little bit of extra time is to make sure that you're prioritizing others over yourself, that you're showing honor to others, and that you're serving one another. Maybe those times when it's really hard to get along with your siblings, instead of trying to figure out how to make them do the things that you want them to do or to do things your way, serve them instead. Find a way to serve them. For your parents, when you're trying to get them to see things from your perspective, maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's about figuring out a way to serve them, especially serve them first. There's also some things where you and I know that, like, we've had all this extra time and maybe you've thought in your head that, hey, look, I can do things for myself. I want you to kind of refocus things instead and maybe try to focus on doing things for others when we have this time. I saw yesterday where a lady that we knew of in our church could not get out. She was homebound, so she couldn't get out and get some groceries and food that she needed. So I watched my brother George Lee go to her house and bring her what she needed and even more than what she needed. It was an awesome act of service. And I know that maybe you can't drive, maybe you can't go to the grocery store, and maybe you can't do those kinds of things, but I promise you there are probably lots of things around your house that you can do that are acts of service for your own family. Maybe even the neighbors that live right around you, there's things that you can do. Maybe it's just things to encourage one another. That's also a wonderful way to treat others better than you normally do. Maybe is just in the idea of encouraging one another. So I want to encourage you to do all those things, to follow that Christ-like example, to serve one another and show honor to one another. Also, don't forget, be paying attention to our Instagram, Facebook, all those places to see how later on today, on Wednesday, we're going to be playing a game together again with some prizes to give away. Don't forget about devotions that are showing up on your Instagram feed, all kinds of ways that we're staying connected. Also look forward to how we're going to do Sunday school this Sunday. You'll be hearing from us. You'll be hearing from your Sunday school teachers about how to set all of that up so that we can have our Sunday school classes happening in the best way possible this coming Sunday. Love you guys. Miss you. Hopefully we can see each other very, very soon and do ministry face to face together.